Hi, gentlemen. How are we doing today? You're doing great. That's good to hear. Where are you both from?
New York.
Both of you are from New York. Well, that's fantastic there. And your friends or relatives?
Friends.
Your friends. And how long have you known each other?
30 years.
Too long. First off, the taller gentleman beside me, this is Ron, and that is Rick. And you've been friends a really long time. Do you remember how you met?
Actually, our wives were teachers together. We met through them, and we're forced to tolerate each other.
They taught for 30 years.
That's very cool. Well, lovely to your wives there. All right, so you're going to tell us some jokes. Anything we should know in advance?
Just applaud.
And laugh loud.
And laugh loud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise as Ron and Rick would like to tell some jokes.
Wow, this is intimidating.
A lot of people here. I wonder where our wives are. I don't see them.
They're probably way in the back. They're too embarrassed to come forward.
Not as embarrassed as we're going to be by the time this is over.
I have a great joke. Did you hear about the one?
I heard that one.
How about this redneck who loves to hunt bear decides that he's going to go into this woods where there's this great big bear and he is going to hunt them. So he goes and he takes his bow and arrow out of his pickup truck and he's looking and looking and all of a sudden he sees the bear. The bear.
Oh.
Roar! Takes his bow and arrow, shoots the bear, hits the bear right in the chest. The bear falls, comes running over to the bear, sees blood but no bear. Gets a tap on the shoulder. Turns around, it's the bear. Roar! The bear says, you have two choices. You're either going to let me have my way with you, or I'm going to rip you to pieces. So what's he going to do? So he lets the bear have his way. Bear runs away after. The guy is really upset, goes back to his truck and gets a shotgun this time. Going looking for the bear. All of a sudden, he sees the bear. Sees the bear. Roar! Shoots the shotgun, hits the bear falls. Goes looking for the bear. Sees blood, but no bear. Gets a tap on the shoulder, turns around, it's the bear. Roar! The bear says, you're going to either let me have my way with you, or I'm going to rip you to pieces. So what's he to do? So he again lets the bear have his way with him. Really upset, the bear runs away, runs to his truck, and he gets a semi-automatic this time. Looking for the bear, sees the bear. Sees the bear. Roar! Takes his semi-automatic, fires, hits the bear falls. Now he runs over, blood, but no bear. Gets a tap on the shoulder, turns around, and the bear says, you didn't come up here just to hunt, did you?
Well, now we need the obligatory dumb blonde joke. So this dumb blonde is driving along in her car. She's speeding. She gets pulled over by a cop who coincidentally is another dumb blonde. The cop says to the driver, let me see your driver's license. The driver says, driver's license? What's that? Look in your pocketbook. It's sort of rectangular. It's got your picture on it. She looks at her pocketbook. She sees a little mirror. Looks at it. There's her picture. So she takes the mirror out. She shows it to the cop. She says, here's my license. The cop takes the mirror, looks at it, and says, wow, if I knew you were a cop also, I wouldn't have pulled you over.
So this priest is giving his sermon one Sunday, and he sees in the So this priest is giving this sermon one Sunday, and he sees way in the back of the church this poor young guy going. So after the sermon, he goes up to him and he says, son, what is the problem? He says, Father, every girl I bring home to my mother, she doesn't like, no matter what. So the priest says, why don't you try to find someone like your mother? So 2 weeks go by. He's giving another sermon, and he sees the same young guy in the back going like this. So he goes over after the sermon and says, so how'd it go? He says, Father, I found the girl. She looks like my mother. She eats like my mother. She cooks like my mother. She walks like my mother. And now my father doesn't like her.
I'm feeling a little guilty because that dumb blonde joke was sort of sexist. So I'm going to have to give the ladies a quick joke. A female brain cell finds herself inside a male brain. She's looking around for other brain cells. Hello? Hello? Any other brain cells around? Way off in the distance, she hears a voice. We're all down here.
So this very arrogant Texan goes into his Rolls-Royce dealer and he says, I want you to build me the biggest, the best Rolls-Royce you can. Spare no expense. So he does, and now he's riding around. He comes up to a light next to another Rolls-Royce. Puts down his window and says, my Rolls-Royce has everything in it. The other guy says, you have a bed in yours? He says, you have one in yours? He says, yep. Runs down to his Rolls-Royce dealer, really upset, and I said, I thought you put everything in. I just saw someone that had a bed in his. I want you to put a bed of mine, but a king-size bed with a brass headboard and a brass footboard. No problem. So he does. Now he's looking for that guy, and he's looking. He sees that Rolls-Royce parked off on the side. So he gets out of his, and he goes over, and he can't see in. It's kind of like foggy in there, so he knocks on the window and knocks. Finally, the window opens a little, and the guy sees who it is. He says, what now? He says, I have a bed of mine, but it's a king-size bed with a brass headboard and a brass footboard. He says, for this, you get me out of the shower?
Well, since the U.S. presidential elections are coming up soon, I've got a little sort of political joke. President Obama is meeting with Queen Elizabeth, and he says to her, just in case I'm elected, I'm going to have to appoint some new cabinet members. Do you have any hints on how I can get the most intelligent people? She says, very simple. What I do is I have a riddle, I call them in, I give them the riddle, and I see if they can answer it. Let me show you what I mean. So she calls in Prime Minister David Cameron. She says, David, let's suppose your parents have a child. That child is neither your sister nor your brother. Who is it? He immediately answers, it's me. Says, very good. So Obama goes back to Washington. He calls Vice President Biden into his office. Says, Joe, I have a riddle for you. Your parents have a child. The child is neither your brother nor your sister. Who is the child? Biden says, I got to think about that a little. I'll be back in a few minutes. He goes out. He finds Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. He says, Hillary, I have a riddle for you. Your parents have a child. It's neither your brother nor your sister. Who is it? She immediately answers, it's me. He says, great. He goes back to the president. He says, Mr. President, I know the answer to the riddle. If my parents have a child and it's neither my brother nor my sister, it must be Hillary Clinton. Not done yet. Obama looks at him and says, you idiot. It's not Hillary Clinton. It's David Cameron.
So, Billy Graham is giving one of his famous sermons in Yankee Stadium, and there's like 70,000 people. Every seat is taken. And the theme is that God will heal all those that help themselves. So he says to everybody out there, pray that God will heal all those that help themselves. Get louder, and they get louder. Get on your knees, and they get on their knees. And he says, more, and they keep yelling, and 2 hours go by, and he says, now I will show you the ways of God. He says, please, I need 2 volunteers. And up comes this guy in crutches, and he says, what's your name? And he says, Sam. He says, Sam, go behind this circular curtain. So Sam goes. He says, one more, please, just one more. And finally this guy strolls up, and he says, what's your name? And he says, Joe. He says, Joe, go behind the curtain with Sam. So Joe and Sam behind the curtain. Billy Graham says, okay, everybody pray for Joe and Sam. And everybody is praying, and on their knees, and get louder, and this goes on for 2 hours. Finally, Billy Graham says, okay, Sam, throw out your crutches, and 2 crutches come flying over the curtain. Says, Joe, speaking. He goes, Sam fell.
this hillbilly married to his cousin, and they have 12 children. He really doesn't want any more children, but neither of them can figure out how birth control works. So he goes to the doctor. He says, "Doctor, I've got a lot of children. I really don't want any more. I understand there's some kind of operation." The doctor says, "There's an operation called a vasectomy." He says, "Oh, how much does that cost?" $5,000. He says, "Doctor, that's much too much money. Is there anything else I could try?" The doctor says, "Actually, there is another alternative. It's much simpler. It won't cost you anything, and it's guaranteed effective." "Well, that sounds good. Let me try that." So the doctor says, "Okay." I need a little prop at this point. Okay, the doctor says, "Okay, get the biggest firecracker you can find, light it, put it in an empty beer can, and count to 10. Guy says, "Okay." He goes home to try it. He gets the biggest firecracker he can find, he lights it, he puts it in the beer can. Then he starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that's the last joke, but I just want to announce that our autographed CDs are going to be on sale.
Come on, let's go get some beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron and Rick, please.